welcome to another episode of Until It's Done, a devoted podcast. I'm your host, Dana Lynn Kay, and we are starting the year off strong, you guys. I have a guest in the studio. Actually, he's over Zoom because he's not in South Florida. I think he might be freezing somewhere. but his name is Joe Hoye, and he it's a program called Diet Detox, and I'll be honest, that immediately caught my attention because I was like, what the heck does that mean, Diet Detox? And then the more I dug into his content, his page, which is phenomenal, by the way, go give him a follow. Lots of great information there. The more I dug into his stuff and I read his bio, I knew that this was a great guest for us because his values, his belief system, and everything really does align with what we talk about with the devotion lifestyle. And I'm really excited myself to have a chat with him today. So welcome to the show, Joe.
Dana, thanks a ton. And you're right. I am freezing my butt off here in Vermont while you're in nice, sunny Florida.
Yeah. When I saw Vermont, I was like, oh boy, that's a cold, that time of year. But are you into skiing or snow sports? And
I am. I'm also much more into the ocean, so
Okay.
I'd rather be there. I got a place down in North Carolina, which is I'm kicking myself for not being there right now, but that's okay.
I mean, that would be a much better option this time of year. But anyway, welcome to the show, and I want to get right into. Like I said, I read your bio. I love it. Everything that you say in it. It was so interesting to me. So I want to just get going by first just having you introduce yourself. Tell us who you are and how you got to where you are today.
Yeah, absolutely. And so, of course, my name's Joe Hoye, born and raised in Vermont. I'm 30 years old, almost 31. Been coaching for the past 7 years. That's when I started my business. Hoye Fit is what it was originally called. Now it's called Diet Detox. And ultimately, that name change came because the more that I do this, the more that I coach people, the more that I learn about the industry and about what people need, the more I hate the industry that I'm in. I hate the diet industry and the weight loss industry because, in my opinion, it's all wrong, right? We're telling people to starve themselves. We're telling people to avoid the things that they should be enjoying and to ultimately live an unrealistic lifestyle to achieve a result that they should be keeping forever. But if they don't know how to do it long term in a way that they like, they're not going to keep it forever. And so that's kind of how Diet Detox was born. And the whole idea behind that is I want to help people detoxify their body and their minds from the damage that past diets have done to them. And that's really how the Diet Detox business program and courses were born.
Yeah. Well, first of all, I love that, and I can speak for myself. I've had to do exactly that because I came from, I call it, the bodybuilding mentality, and that mentality was a very go hard, and no days off and sleep when you're dead and all those type of mindset things that you think you have to do in order to accomplish really big results, and it just was nothing was further than the truth. But I've had to break myself of that type of all or nothing, black or white thinking, the things that do hold people back. Oh, carbs are bad. Oh my God, it's really sad and unfortunate that some of us, I'm going to be 45 this year. So when I started, this was, in the early 90s, we only saw fitness magazines. Everybody in the bodybuilding industry was very gatekeeping. You're trying to figure it out. I love what you have to say because I am a woman who did have to trust the process and change my mindset and detox my thoughts and my workout style, training style, my beliefs to finally, and like I said, I'm 45 now, to finally get to a place where I don't have, I'm not scared of carbs. I work out at any time. It doesn't have to be on an empty stomach. All these things that we did thinking that's the way it needs to get done or it won't work. Oh, I have to drink so many ounces of water. Where everybody's fixating on all these little details rather than just working the lifestyle, working the healthy habits, letting those habits add up to the big results. It's still doing it, okay, whatever. Then come to dislike those habits, because I've seen a massive shift on social media, thank God, but you're 30, so where did you, I mean, which, to me, that's 15 years younger than what I am, where did you
Sure.
start to realize that mentality was not working for people, or women, or, people?
God, you know what? To be completely transparent, it's funny you asked this because it's came up twice now in like the past month or so. But I learned from my own mistakes, Dana. Um, Coming into this industry, the reason I got here is because number one, at an early age, the age of 13, I was getting picked on. I was getting bullied at school. I was also going down a wrong path. My mom was my strongest, most consistent role model. She saw that and dragged my ass into the gym. And she's the one that changed the path of my life. And so if she didn't do that, I wouldn't be here, number one. But from that, I realized that my mom's fitness got me into fitness and that changed my life. And so now I wanted to pass that on to other people. So quick backstory, after high school, I started pursuing a career in surgery. Because of that, I'm taking anatomy, physiology, kinesiology, nutrition courses, just all the things that create change in the body and help me understand the body. And growing up, I was super tall, super skinny, and underweight. After applying all these tactics to myself, I gained the weight I wanted, but I also started partying in college. So then I got fat. I gained like 80 pounds in the course of a year and a half, and I had to lose that. And people started asking me how I did that and asking me to help them. And so that is how Hoye Fit was born. But immediately, I was a new coach. And obviously, I didn't know everything I know now. I didn't know that the way I did things wasn't the right way. So I taught people how I did stuff, but I quickly realized they weren't maintaining the results that I was. And I was being just as bad as the rest of the diet industry. But I didn't give up, right? I wasn't like, oh, this isn't working. Maybe this isn't for me. I adapted. And to be honest with you, it's been a 24/7 nonstop evolution from day one until today. And I'm sure I will continue to evolve to make this better and more realistic for people. But I mean, in the beginning, I was slashing calories based on people's BMRs. It was low. It wasn't sustainable. It wasn't fun. Yes, people got short-term results, but they didn't keep it. And so now we're more on this side of like, hey, before you even start something, I need to understand where you are. Like without knowing your starting point, I don't have a direction to point you in. And so, number one, we'll just assess where somebody is. After that, I want to keep this as simple as possible on the nutrition and exercise side of things. I'm not going to give people a diet plan. Really, what we like to look at is calories because we understand that calories are what's going to decide whether somebody maintains, gains, or loses weight. And then protein, that's going to be part of what decides whether that weight is fat or muscle. Of course, for women and men, but really women over 30, 40, 50, 60, we're going to prioritize strength training because we know they're losing muscle naturally year after year, and we need to combat that. But you know what? I think Diet Detox goes deeper on the mental side of things because people are telling themselves these stories and creating these identities for themselves that they're an emotional eater, they're broken, they have to diet to lose weight. And I think all of that is BS. And so my coaches that work under me, they're perfecting the programs on nutrition. They're perfecting the programs on exercise. And I'm diving into identity shifts, behavior change shifts, storytelling shifts, and creating these clients, turning these clients from who they are now into the version of them that loses their weight and keeps it off forever. And I think that's a massive hole that the diet industry is missing.
Oh yeah, the mental aspect. Mental is huge. And like what you said, I've done that where I would say, well, I'm just an emotional eater. I'm this, because I've spoken about my past, about how I used food and all of that. But it is how we identify. Like now, I'm like, I'm a fit mom. I'm this. I'm that. It's like the
Yes.
way you speak about yourself and how you see yourself. I speak that into who I am, and the other names that I would call, or like the emotion, those kind of excuses, right? Like those are like the reason. It was like talking myself into why I was doing what I was doing, but then it wasn't finding a solution for that because I don't want to be an emotional eater. I don't want, but I do want to be a fit mom. And it's like, what makes me both of those things? Well, I mean, I'm going to do the things on a daily basis and the habits that keep me the fit mom rather than keep me the emotional eater. And yeah, sometimes when you find yourself in that struggle, it is identifying the struggle, correct? And then the mental game, like you said, is that's a big key component, because I feel like if you have your mental right, everything else follows, correct? I mean,
Everything else. And I'm similar to you, and I'm similar to so many people that are listening and resonating right now. My identity that I'm referring to was around alcohol, right? When I started to drink, I told myself these stories that I was someone that couldn't have a single beer. If I had a beer, if I had a shot, if I had a drink, that's it. I was blacking out. And so you know what? Because I told myself those stories, I turned that into my truth. I turned that into my reality. And so when I got fit, I had to go from whenever I would drink, I would black out. And because of that, I was overweight to I can't drink at all. Because if I do, guys, I'm going to lose everything I've created. And so I was sober 100% for, God, roughly 4 years. And recently, just in the past couple of years, somebody would offer me a drink. And I don't know what it was inside of me, but I now understand how to create this for others. But there was this piece of me that was like, you know what? That was the old me. I shed that skin. That's not me anymore. And so now I can have this drink. And I realized very quickly by stacking wins and creating proof for myself that I was right. That wasn't me anymore. Now I can have a drink. Like if me and my wife go out to dinner, I can have a glass of wine. We can go home and we're good to go. I don't have to worry about getting an Uber.
Isn't that liberating?
Hammered.
Isn't that liberating? That is like, I love hearing that, because that's something that happened with me, where the all or nothing thinking, where you're saying either I'm drinking and I'm blacking out, or I'm just sober. And then all of a sudden to find, because I used to do that too, I'd say I'm a volume eater. And if I start eating popcorn, I'm going to eat the 5-pound bag, and so I can't even have it in my house. I'm not even going to buy it. And it was this all or nothing. Like I'm either eating my body weight in popcorn, or which I know, is different than alcohol, but okay, that was a weakness of mine. It was food, it was whatever. And here I am thinking that like, well, I just can't handle it. And I tell everybody, well, I'm a volume eater. I just need to eat this quantity. Yeah. And it was like, what? And now, just this past weekend, I brought popcorn into and this is just this weekend, I brought popcorn into my house, and I like to pop my own popcorn, and I drizzle my Devotion protein all over it, and it's like this thing I do. And I ate one bowl, like I had like a portion, it was like the 3 cups or whatever, and I was done, and I washed the bowl, and I was like, oh my gosh, like I don't need to go back and eat 6 more bowls, which is, my old thinking. And I'm like, I'm good, I'm satisfied, and popcorn does not have that power over me anymore. But I love what you just said about the alcohol, because now it's not all or nothing. I don't have to not have popcorn in my house, but my mental game is so strong now that I don't identify as a person who loses control just because there's something in my house, or something that I really like a lot. It's like, okay, we all like things a lot. Does that mean we have to lose ourselves or let that thing control us, right?
That's exactly it. And the hardest part is changing and recreating that first identity. But Dana, now that you did that, and I'm sure that's probably the 100th identity change that you've created.
Yeah.
But now that you've created more than one identity, you're like, oh, well, if I retold myself this story and I start believing that, I wonder what else I can believe. And then you almost become unstoppable in any dimension of life.
Joe, you're 100%. I did that recently. So like I said, I was very old school bodybuilding. I competed in figure for 10 years, did a lot of shows, and I always thought, old school bodybuilding, that you had to wake up and do cardio on an empty stomach. And so if I missed my window of doing the cardio, I thought I wrecked the day, and now I can't do my cardio. But and I'm a mom of 3, so life gets in the way. I'm also an entrepreneur. Business gets in the way. I get a call. Okay, so imagine how my life would go into a tailspin, and I'd be like, oh my God, I didn't do my cardio, and now I got to figure this out. Now I realize, like today, I didn't do any cardio. I was very busy this morning. I had to get the kids off to school. I had a physical therapy for my shoulder. I had all this stuff. Okay, guess what? I'm going to go home later tonight, and maybe I'll take a long walk, or maybe I'll do 30 minutes on the treadmill on an incline, whatever. But like, it didn't ruin my day. And all that is very liberating for me to feel like I'm okay. Like I didn't ruin the day, but that black or white thinking a lot of people have, and they do feel like, oh my gosh, if I don't get it in now, or I'm a morning person, I have to do it during the morning. I can't do it at night. And it's like, no, you can, and or you can let it go and still be okay and start fresh tomorrow. But like, not letting it completely just crumble me, that's another win. Like you said, stacking wins where now I realize like that didn't ruin my results. That didn't set me back. But that's a mental thing. That was a mental thing for me. It had nothing to do with science. Whenever you do cardio, it's still, or exercise or take your walk. I don't have to walk in the morning. I can walk at night. Like, right? And do you see that in clients where those are things like these aha moments where they were under the impression that they had to do something and then you break those habits with them to realize, or those misconceptions?
Oh, I mean, that's what my business is built on.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
like, because a lot of times the women that we work with, they'll come to us and they're eating, and I'm not exaggerating, they're eating 700, 900, 1200 calories a day, but they're not losing weight because they've completely botched their metabolism. And so they're thinking that they're completely broken when in reality, they just need to remove the stress from their body. And so what we'll do is initially, I'm like, hey, Becky, I don't have a client named Becky, so I can't get in trouble.
Okay.
Becky, we actually need to eat about 800 to 1,000 more calories a day. We're not going to go there tomorrow, but we are going to work you up there slowly. At first, Becky's terrified. She hates Joe. She wonders why she just paid Joe money. A month later, after we get her there, or 2 months later, after she's there and she feels better and she's sleeping better and her mood's better and her relationship's better and her body shape is different and her clothes fit different after eating more calories, there's that aha moment. She's like, holy shit, nothing changed except for I'm eating double the amount of food. And some of that food's coming from my favorite things that I've avoided for years or decades. And now not only is my body looking better and feeling better, but my life is better. So yeah, those
Yeah.
aha moments are huge.
Yeah. Oh my gosh. And that's success for them. That's success for you because I mean, you're real with clients. And the thing that makes me sad about a lot of people's, sometimes it's hard for them to just trust the process and they won't, I mean, look, they're hiring you. They obviously trust you enough to hire you, but then sometimes people, it's like they hear the plan or they hear this like, okay, I want to get you double calories, and all of a sudden they freak out when obviously what they're doing isn't working, yet still letting go of that control and eating more, and it's they don't trust the process, and a lot of times they'll end up in the same spot because they don't do that. They don't trust the process. So yeah, that's hard. I mean, do you have a lot of clients where it does take a lot of hand holding because they are really nervous and scared to to let go and to trust I mean, for most women to hear that they can eat 1,800, 1,900, 2,000 calories, they freak out.
Yeah, you nailed it. And I mean, it does. It takes a lot of hand holding and a lot of trust building, a lot of relationship building. But I want to take the pressure off anybody listening that might be feeling defensive or like the ego's coming out right now, because I don't really think that's your fault. Again, me being pissed off at the diet industry, you've been taught, maybe even since you were a child by your mom that did Weight Watchers and only meant well for you, that 1,200 calories is what a teenager should eat and then a grown woman should eat. And if you eat any more than that, you're going to gain weight. And so you've had this drilled into you for years,
Right.
if not decades. And so reversing that, coming from a guy that's 30 years old, let
Yeah.
alone somebody more of their demographic and age, that's hard until they see the proof. And then once they see that proof, the walls drop, the trust is there, and we can do anything together.
Well, what about the other thing that not only it's the calories they fear, but certain foods that people
Mm.
fear. I'm constantly I post a lot of recipes with devotion. I have my protein powder, but I put it with a lot of oatmeal, or I put it with, maybe a nut butter, or, and people say, oh, I can't eat oats, that they're too many they're too many carbs, or, oh, what should I replace with this? Cause I can't eat that. And I'm like, what do you mean you can't eat it? Or it's too many carbs. When I say too many carbs, like the oatmeal recipe will have a quarter cup of oats. And I'm like, okay, we're talking about 12 and a half grams of carbs. Like, why is that scary? And, are you, with your programs, like, are you working on the food fears, like the different, carb fears, the bad food versus good food fears? How do you approach those things?
Yeah, massively. And again, like it's very similar. It's scary, right? Because you and I know that if somebody goes from eating little to no carbs and then we introduce carbs to their life, they are going to gain weight.
Yeah.
But that weight comes from water retention, and we don't really care about water retention. We care about gaining fat or losing fat, right? And so the hardest thing is to get them to eat that first couple of meals of carbs. But the way I do this is like, hey, you came to me because you wanted the same results as the past 100 or 1,000 clients that I've created, right? And so the answer is always yes, I want those same results. I'm like, great. Well, we're going to have to put you through the same process so you can get those same results. And guess what? Those last 100 to 1,000 clients, they ate the carbs every day. And guess
Yeah.
what? Not only did it change their body, but it changed the way they showed up in life. They slept better because they ate carbs at night. Yes, you can do that before bed. They lifted stronger because they had carbs, aka energy. And they simply enjoyed date nights with their partners because carbs were there.
Yeah. Okay, so yeah, back to the fearing of the food. That is something that, yeah, I definitely see a lot. I mean, the fear mongering with ingredients and food on social media has been probably one of the most painful things for me to endure. Like most days I'd like to just turn off social, like even though I heavily rely on social media. Um, with comments and people fearing. So, we between like the 1 second it's seed oils, the next second it's oatmeal, the next second, it's like all constantly with ingredients and people being overwhelmed. Do you find that people are just focusing on these little details rather than looking at the big picture of what they really need to do to change their lifestyle, and kind of like worrying what is it, like majoring in the minors? It's like the minor details when, hey, you haven't even accomplished the big things. You're trying to lose this weight and you're worried about, you're thinking seed oils are causing all your problems. Like what approach do you take with, people dealing with those types of, do you try to take that stuff out of the equation and get them just to, embrace a lifestyle rather than worry about the details?
I'm so glad you said this. This is so good. Number one, I see the craziest stuff on Instagram. Like, don't eat broccoli because it has polyphenols. I just made something up, but like the
Yeah.
most ridiculous claims. But yeah, so what I like to do is just focus on the foundational things, the very simple things that are actually boring to focus on. Like they're so easy that people don't think that it'll create a result because it's so easy. And so if I'm telling them to look at hitting a certain amount of calories that's actually enjoyable to eat and a certain amount of protein that's really not that hard but supports muscle and keeps them full, it's too easy. And so they're like, well, you know what? I think I'm just eating too many added sugars and there's too much seed oil here. It's like, look, we'll
Yep.
get to that. But first, we need to address the things that are going to move the needle. And then, once you're doing this in your sleep, once you no longer need to use your tracking apps, once this is a piece of cake when you go out to dinner, then we can start focusing on the fancy stuff that's going to move the needle 1%. But wouldn't you like to take action on something that's going to move the needle 50% with the same amount of effort rather than one?
Yep. Yep. I love that. Yeah. These are all things. This is why I was excited to have you on, because you think the same way that I do. Like every time it's the things that move the needle, these little things that people dwell on. And they think that it's because it's like, oh, it's because, I mean, even if you do have, I have people who struggle with, they're like, well, I just like that glass of wine. I just want that glass of wine. It's like, okay, I don't think that is your big problem because your glass of wine, like, I don't really, it's like, I don't know how to break it to them, but it's like, you've got other things that you're not doing, or that you are doing, or that you're like, it's the big picture and the lifestyle changes. And then, like you said, the little everyday tweaks that are going to add up to the big results. I mean, oh man, yeah, I hate the industry too, Joe. No, because it's sad that it is overwhelming to a lot of people. I feel like and then the more you watch social media, especially somebody who's struggling, the more overwhelming it'll get, because it's like we need more people like you who are putting really good information out there and uncomplicating something that really doesn't have to be complicated. Right?
I was just thinking that in my head. It's like when you were saying that in my head, my thought was, I've built a business out of simplifying something that should already be simple for the
Yes.
masses. And proving that from the results. It's like, hey, these are the 4 things we did to change this person's life in 50 different ways. Would you rather that, or would you rather pay attention to the next trending Instagram reel that tells you that broccoli's bad because of XYZ reason? Like, take your pick.
Yeah.
I'm here when you're ready.
Yeah. It's really sad to me when I see the same people struggling, because I do have people from college who follow me in high school that I do know, and it's like they're jumping from diet to diet, and they're like, hey, Dana, and a lot of times they'll still use my protein no matter what program they're doing. They're like, hey, I'm going to try keto. Yeah, protein's fine on keto. You can still use it. But I'm like, okay. And then next thing they're like, well, I'm doing Whole30 now. Well, I'm going to try carnivore or so. And then I'm like, well, that's a whole nother beast. It's like, and they're jumping around and they're still trying to find this magical diet, this magical, and I'm like, you're actually like making this more complicated for yourself. Like, and you're still trying to find what works, yet obviously jumping from diet to diet, that's more of like this gimmicky style diet, is not working. So, but.
And that's where I think the identity and storytelling side comes in. Because imagine this person that you just mentioned, you've known him since high school, now you're 45, you've been friends on Facebook since then, and they come to you like, Dana, I'm a dieter. Like, I just need to find the next diet so that I can do this again. It's like, no, what if we told yourself a different story? What if now you came to me in a year and you're like, Dana, in the past, I'd tried every diet under the sun, but now I can change my body through simple things done day in and day out and still enjoy my life. What if that's the story that they came and told you now? It's like, wow, I feel a whole lot more confident that this person's going to achieve their goals, number 1, and number 2, keep them.
Yep. And that's what it's about. It's about keeping them. It's like sometimes people will come to me and they're like, well, I've lost 30 pounds on carnivore and it works. And I'm sure, yes, it works. You ate carnivore, you went into a calorie deficit, you cut out 7 other food item groups. I mean, you don't eat fruits, you don't eat vegetables, you don't eat grains, okay, great. So now I don't know. Okay, your lifestyle must be so interesting. Like, you know what I mean? Like, okay. But then they're so excited that they lost 30. But now I'm like, so you're going to do this till you die? Or is this like, what is the plan, the long-term play here? But then a lot of times they go off, because they're like, oh, well, then I decided not to be on keto anymore, but I gained the 30 back. And I'm like, okay, so it didn't work. Because it worked for a minute, but now you didn't make it your lifestyle. It's not sustainable. You're not going to keep going with it. And now you're back to square one again, finding the next thing to take that same 30 pounds off that you had just lost with and that's the cycle. That's the yo-yoing. And the thing is the funny thing is for me is that like I've put my life on social media and I've shown what I've done through the years. And a woman just wrote me the other day in DMs and she's like, oh my God, like she wrote to me like, I actually trust you because I've seen you now for like 9 years, like a decade. She's like, you've kept your weight off and you just keep doing, I'm always on walks. I'm always making my protein and oatmeal and loaves. I'm making the things. I show my healthy dinners with my family. I'm eating my vegetables. I don't cut anything out. They see me eating my fruits. Guys, you can be lean and eat fruit, like all the things. So I'm like, so why don't you trust me that these things are okay? Like I'm showing you what I'm doing and yet you're thinking carnivore is the answer. And it's like, no, it's not. Like, but
here's why I think that. And I think it's just because we're human. Right? As humans, we want to complicate things. We don't think that simple things will work. And so it's like, there's no way that Dana is showing her entire life on social media. There's no way all she does is wake up, put a scoop of devotion protein inside her oatmeal, go for a walk, drink some water, maybe work out 3 to 4 times a week. And she enjoys wine. Like, there's something she's not telling us.
Right. Like, they think I'm gatekeeping, and I'm like, yeah, some other, like, magic something I'm doing. Yep, you're right.
Yeah. Like, when in reality, all you want is to simplify this process and see every single human succeed and ditch the diet industry.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You're my girl. I'm with you.
Yeah. And, oh, man. And just the overcomplicating is really sad. And it comes down to the simple, boring things, the day in and day out. And really, when I think about it, I used to laugh You know that movie Groundhog Day with Bill Murray? Did you ever see it? Okay.
Yes.
Like, I would think my day is like Groundhog Day, you know, where it's like, yes, I'm getting up. You know, I like to have coffee in the morning. I'm doing, you know, I fill my water bottle. I have, you know, my oatmeal, my protein, and my raspberries, and I'm doing my stuff and all the things. And I'm like, people would look at me like, you're so boring. You're doing your same things over and over. They're bored. Like, where's the magic? Where's the fun? Where's the, you know, because they would see I've done some photo shoots in my for fitness, and they'd be like, "Oh my God, what'd you do to look like that?" And I'm like, "The same stuff I'm telling you on my Instagram." Like, I'm just doing it day in and day out, day in and day out, day in and day out, and all those little every time you see me eating oats, and every time you see me doing my walk, and every time that's just my results, day in and day out, day in and day out, adding up to great results. And the only reason why you're not getting my results is because you stop and you think that, oh, this is boring, this isn't working, or it's too boring, and this is not. No, I should be killing it. I should be, because I get the comments. Well, I can't spend 3 hours in the gym, and I'm like, well, I can't either. So if you think that my results are coming from 3 hours in the gym, no, I can hit a workout in 30 minutes. Like, you know, I can lift some weights and hit a workout 30, 40 minutes. I'm in and out, like you said, a few times a week. Yet they look at me and think, oh, well, she kills it. She has to be killing it in the gym in order to get those results.
Here's the thing that people don't realize about exercise, right? When you exercise, you're actually making yourself worse. Especially, like, not especially strength training, but let's talk about strength training. When you lift weights, you're creating tears in your muscles. Tears in your muscles, they're not good. And if all you do is tear your muscles more and more and more and don't allow them to rebuild, you're just going to dig yourself into a hole.
Yep.
Right. The part where exercise becomes good is when you recover more than you exercise, meaning you build yourself back stronger more often than you make yourself worse. And so that consistency of exercise plus more recovery is what makes Dana Dana. It makes me me. It makes my clients my clients. It's actually the reverse of beating yourself into the ground with workouts every day that you don't enjoy.
Yeah. Yeah, because then, I mean, I know even people trying to make it their lifestyle. It's like, I mean, if I wouldn't want to be beating myself up, exhausted, and then keep going back for it. That's not sustainable. No. And we want to wake up and feel good, not like, oh my God, I can't move my body, and how am I going to do it today? And most people, when they feel that way, they'll talk themselves out of it because they will say, I can't do it again today. And, you know, but it's like, well, why did you don't have to go that hard for results.
Insert CrossFit.
Exactly. Oh my gosh. Yeah. I was just having a conversation with my physical therapist about that, because they see so many CrossFitters come in. I just had shoulder surgery, but not from doing that type of stuff. I mean, yeah, that's wear and tear and beating down your body. And I mean, if that's your thing, that's fine, but it's not necessary to get great results.
Yeah, and so this is coming from an ex-CrossFitter that was in love with it. Like, I truly loved it. I still do. But exactly what you just said, like, I was beating myself into the ground.
Yeah.
Yes, I got good results, but guess what? I also get incredible results working out 3 days a week now.
Yeah. And it leaves more time in the rest of your life to enjoy other things, in the rest of your life. Like, when I was training hard, like I said, with my old mentality, I would be so exhausted. I'd be so worn out. I would be sore. Waking up in the morning, I was like, oh my God, like, I just feel like, oh, I can't, like, oh, today is just going to hurt, like, the whole thing. And it then kept me from doing other really enjoyable things, you know? Like, I would think that, like, I'm not going to go for a bike ride with the kids. I hurt. Oh my God, mommy's tired. I'm going to bed early because I'm so worn out. Like, now that I actually do less, get better results, but I'm more energized. Like, right? Is it?
And you're more equipped to enjoy your life, which I think that's what we're all after at the end of this. Like, we want to be confident, we want to have energy, we want to feel good so that we can enjoy life.
Exactly. I mean, look, wearing yourself out like that even affects, like you were saying, relationships. You mentioned it earlier, where it affects your relationship, because when you're that tired, you're not spending time with your spouse or your partner or whatever, or you're so tired, and then you're putting a strain on that relationship. It's like everything snowballs. So pouring too much energy and overdoing, women a lot of times, like we talk about cardio bunnies, where the women just are like thinking they need to do hours and hours of cardio. But it's like, then like what do you have left over to pour into anything else? I mean, cardio is exhausting doing that type of cardio day, but people think that they need to do that. And then what do you have left? I mean, because I was there, like I said, my old mentality. And then I'd be like, oh my God, I have to make dinner for the kids and I got to do this. But meanwhile, I just did an hour on the Stairmaster and I did it. And it's like, well, what? I mean, that wasn't necessary for me to do that. But now I have nothing left and I would have to just run on fumes and caffeine the rest of the day. And not enough calories, because I was under eating. So, I mean, I was there. I was the woman who you are talking about. And that's why I love talking to you about this topic, because you are a coach who can get women who were like me to the other side. Because now I've got lots of energy. I enjoy life. I enjoy time with my kids, my partner, like all the things. And I don't feel like I am exhausted.
Let me ask you this, since you were that person. Because I've been talking about something really recently called 4 dimensions. And I think everybody in their life has 4 dimensions. They have their body, how their body looks, feels, functions, and its level of health. They have their being, which is their connection to themselves, their connection to a higher power, right? Be it the universe, God, anything. They have connection with others. So your partner, your kids, your friends, your family, then you have business. When you were beating yourself into the ground with your body to try and achieve and maintain a certain result with endless cardio, shitty diets, you name it, were you showing up as the person inside your relationships that you wanted to?
No, I can immediately say no. I was really tired. I was short as a mother. I had a shorter temper and a shorter amount of patience because I was hungry. I was tired. I was putting expectations on myself, thinking, and like I said, the black and white thinking, then you let yourself down. Oh, I messed up. I ate blah, blah, blah at the school, whatever. And all of a sudden, I'm upset with myself because I'm not perfect. I'm upset with myself because I think I ruined everything because I woke up late and I couldn't get the cardio in. Then I'm exhausted because I tried to make up the cardio and so I did extra. And then I'm tired and then I'm not eating and then the whole thing snowballs into my family life, into my relationship. Like I said, I'm tired. I'm short with my kids. I can't wait to get them to bed. I can't wait to just get into bed myself. I'm not spending time with my partner. And every aspect, in my life then suffers. And I really feel my life has turned around when I put that mentality to bed and I changed my life to like who you're coaching, like to people to do. Oh my God, my relationship with my kids are flourishing. I'm a patient mother. I have energy to do other things. We do activities. We do, it's like all of a sudden there's all this life opens up and I'm like a different mom. I'm a different wife. I'm a different business owner. I'm a different, my mind isn't foggy. Everything opens up because you're like, oh, I'm fueling my body. I'm not so tired. I'm connecting with my spouse, right? So and then all of a sudden you're like, life is great. I feel great.
I love this. And so that's what I was getting at. That's what I've noticed over probably the past year is that every dimension either feeds or starves another dimension. And if you're doing something wrong inside your body, that's going to pour into what you just said, your connection with yourself, your connection with your family, your business. But when you start doing it right, you now have the bandwidth and the health and the energy to show up as the best version of yourself, for your family, for your friends, for your business, and everything just flourishes.
Flourishes. Yes. Even my digestion. I mean, it all, like every aspect of my life, because it's like when you're cutting out food groups or you're, then now it's funny. For years, I never worried about fiber. Now I'm like, I had this aha moment where I'm like, oh my God, I'm not getting enough fiber in my diet. Like, even though I was eating a lot of vegetables and stuff, but I wasn't adding like things like the chia seeds and the flax, ground flax, all the things that now I make these efforts because I wondered, well, why do I get this bloating? Or why am I not going to the bathroom like I should? What? All these like little details that do matter. Like you said, once I mastered the big picture, I did start kind of fine tweaking myself. And like, that's what I love, like what you said before, where you're like, let's just get the lifestyle down. Let's just clean up what we're doing here. Let's look at the big picture. Let's get these things in. And then like you said, then you can worry about like, hey, like let's bring the fiber. It looks like you're only having 10 grams. Let's like bump it up to 25 and really like let's notice a real difference in your digestion. All those little tweaks just keep then making things better and better and better. And, you know, knock up the protein a little bit. Let's get you eating some more carbs. And every time like I would up my carbs and I'd see that my body could really handle more carbs than what I thought. It was like, yay, this is fun. And then I'd be like, my body looks better because my muscles look fuller. And, you know, it's very empowering, I think, for a woman to finally feel like she is in control of her body.
You're such a good example
Yeah.
for every single person that listens to you. Like from the outside looking in, just so you know,
Yeah.
there's no there's there's no question as to why you are who you are and why you are where you are, because you live and breathe exactly what you try to teach and preach.
Yeah.
Like you're the one that's like, hey, I was here, but I did the foundational shit. And now that the foundational shit's in place, now I'm doing the little itty bitty 1% things. And guess what, guys? I'm still not done. This game is not finite. I'm going to keep playing it till I die because it's going to give me the best life I can live till I die. And that to me is why you are where you are, because you're the best example for everybody else.
Yeah, thank you. I appreciate that. And that's why I'm passionate about what I do. And I want to spread that to everyone because I like you said, I've been there and now I'm here and I'm like, oh my gosh, it's so empowering. And it's so like, I mean, it's life changing. It really is. And to be able to share that with people and to hear when they have their aha moments, because like you said, they're the 1% things. But if I do a 1%er and a 1%er and a 1%, all of a sudden I've changed my life another 5%. And then and I've moved the needle, all these little tweaks and things now that I'm doing. And that just means life and my lifestyle and have just keep getting better and better and better. And I do feel it. And these are also things that it's anti-aging too. I mean, like I said, I'm gonna be 45 and I'm not feeling my age. I feel really good now because I'm doing the things that nurture my body rather than constantly feel like I'm breaking it down and punishing my body. You know, which I guess back then I thought what I was doing was right, but really looking back, I'm like, oh, I was aging myself faster doing all of these stressful things, right? I mean, women want to be, young and anti-age, but meanwhile, they're doing things that are just aging them faster. Isn't that wild?
Yeah, starving themselves, beating themselves into the ground, not sleeping. Yeah, I love it. I mean, if only you knew then what you know now. Like, imagine where you would be, which again is, I think, why you and I do what we do, because we want to give people the knowledge we have as fast as we can so that it doesn't take them, for me, 7 years, for you, 9 years, to get where we are. It takes them, I don't know, a year, 2 years. And then, God, where are they in 7 or 9 years?
Right. Exactly. And we're sometimes some of these people, I mean, they admit to me, they'll be like, I'm my worst enemy. Like it's self-sabotage is a real thing. I dealt with it too, but again, it comes back to the mental. And I love that you're a coach that deals with mindset. So I'm so glad. I mean, if you're a person listening to this, and you're listening and you're like, but I know this stuff, then it might come back to your mindset, because you might know, like, gotta hit my protein, gotta get my water, gotta get my steps, gotta, like, all those little things that we talk about, but there's something else standing in your way. If you're still struggling, it might just be your mindset. It might also come down to where sometimes people just don't even know how to organize their life right? So I'm sure as a coach, you probably help people figure out some of these things. I mean, there are people, and I'm very sensitive to this, where there are women and men who are nurses and they work a night shift, or they have really tough sleep schedules, or you're a firefighter, or you're whatever you are. But I guess your job as a coach is to help them in their life to find a way and make it work for them, right?
Well, that's why we do the one-on-one coaching, right? Because, I mean, I'm thinking of Tracy right now. She wouldn't mind if I shouted her out, but she's a 9/11 dispatcher.
Okay.
And so her hours are crazy. Like, I think 3 days a week is during the daytime and 2 days a week is during the nighttime. So she's always switching her sleep schedule. And she was in my group coaching programs for the longest time, and she would get results but lose them. And it's like, Trace, this isn't for you. Like, I can't give you enough love and attention in a group setting to show you how to optimize your lifestyle and set it up so you can succeed. And so now that she's in one-on-one, I mean, it's a piece of cake. She knows her schedule. She knows how to switch. Everything's good. But it's just different strokes for different folks, figuring out where you need to be. And going back to the whole self-awareness around self-sabotage, if that's where somebody is, if you're someone that's reached out to Dana and you're like, hey, Dana, I get it. Like, I know, I'm aware that I'm my own worst enemy. I know that I self-sabotage. You're in such a good position, because I think that's the first piece of identity change and behavior change, is knowing that it needs to happen and being open to it happening. And then from there, you can actually learn and start making those shifts. So I think for anybody that resonates with that, you're closer than you think.
That's true. I love that you said that, because it's like, it's the opposite. You're not in denial. You're not like, well,
No.
I've tried everything, I'm just perfect, but it's just not working for me. It's like, no, like, I love it. Like, even my son, the other day, he's unfortunately like failing math, and I was like, I don't understand. You're so smart. Like, you are so, what is going on? He's like, Mom, I'm just lazy. And I'm like,
I
oh,
don't
okay,
believe that.
well, you admitted it. You're lazy. So it's like, some people will say, no, I know what to do. I'm lazy. I just don't do it. And I'm like, okay, so we've established that you know what to do. You now just don't do it, and you're just not doing the work. And unfortunately, as you know, I said to my son, well, I can't do it for you. Like, you're going to have to want to do it, but at least you know, like, you identified your issue is you're lazy. Like, so I think, like what you said, if people do realize, like, hey, I'm getting in my own way, and there are things, because a lot of people do know what they need to, a lot of people don't, but they do also need to troubleshoot, and having a coach sometimes will help them get over those humps or those disbeliefs that they can do it, or why are you getting in your own way. So I'm sure you do that for your clients.
Absolutely. This is a whole different conversation with your son, probably a different podcast too. But
Yeah.
I almost wouldn't believe that your son's lazy, because just from that sentence, your son sounds like me. How old is he?
He's he's 15 and a half.
Yeah, he sounds like me when I was 15 and a half.
Okay.
I was just lazy, and I sucked at everything in school. However, I just wasn't interested.
Yeah,
right?
that's
So we
like
can tie
him.
this back to diets. Like, if somebody's just not interested in doing something a certain way, they might identify as lazy. But I think that's a cop-out for being like, I just haven't found what works for me. I haven't found what lights me up. Because
Right.
now, Dana, I am the smartest dude ever. I can learn anything I want to learn.
Yeah.
But it comes down to me being interested in it. And it comes down to somebody being interested in the way they get their results, and the way they lose weight, and the way they build strength, and anything like that. Like, you just got to find what works for us.
Right. Absolutely. I agree with you, because stuff that he's interested in, oh my God, like, you ask him any sneaker out there, bikes, like all the things that a 15-year-old, he's like, Mom, I know those are Nike today. They come in this size. It's like, of course, because he's interested in it. But then you put him in biology, or you put him in one of these classes, it's like, oh, like, he doesn't care about the cell and the mitochondria. It's just not his, like, it's not his thing. And so, I mean, that's why I try not to be hard on them, but I'm like, Bodhi, like, just telling me that you're lazy, like, okay, that's, it's a tough pill to swallow, but he does recognize it. It's just, yeah, when you're interested in it, I think also, seeing success in clients, like, finding what they love, because people used to say to me, what's the best cardio? Like, what's the best cardio to lose leg fat? And I'm like, or my thighs are big. What's the best cardio? I'm like, doing something that you love, right? I mean, right? It's like, well, if just like my son doesn't love math, and it's going to be really painful for him to do it. I mean, he's going to have to do it. Yeah, for clients, if you were like, hey, you have to do the Stairmaster every day for 30 minutes, and they hated it, it's going to be really hard for that client to do it. I mean... So,
well, I mean, let's talk about that real quick. People come to you, they're like, how do I lose my thighs? It's like, you know what? The abductor and the adductor machines are going to work just as well as your favorite exercise, because guess what? They're both helping you burn calories. And by burning calories, you're going to lose fat overall. And by losing fat overall, your thighs are going to shrink. Like, there's no way to spot target your fat.
Right.
Just go do something you like and do it every day and have fun.
Exactly. It's finding things like that you enjoy and that you can keep doing and build your lifestyle around. It's so funny. I said that to my aunt years ago. She was asking me like, what cardio equipment should I buy? And I'm like, well, do you like walking? Because she's in New Jersey. It's cold. I get it. Like certain times of year, like no one wants to go outside walk. So I'm like, well, do you like biking? She's like, I hate biking. I'm like, don't get that. Do you like stairs? I hate stairs. Don't do that. Like, we were trying to figure it out because I was like, I'm not going to tell her to buy something and then she just hates it. She'll end up hanging her laundry on it and never using it. You know? And so now, even with I have a daughter who struggles with her weight a little bit and she doesn't want to do cardio machines, and that's okay. But she's like, Mom, I really like kicking the soccer ball at the park. And I'm like, you know what? Then go. And and then I say, don't just stand there, chase after the ball, bring it back, chase after the ball, bring it back. Like that's going to be your exercise. And then she goes to the park and she loves it. So then she will keep doing it. And every day she asks, can I go to the park? Because I want to kick the soccer ball. And I'm like, perfect. You found what you love. Now she wants to do it every day.
That. And you know what I see works great? Like maybe this would work. If I had a client like your daughter, I would set a performance-based goal for her where it's like, hey, because we're going to secretly tell her to chase it. But I'm like, hey, let's see how well you can dribble the ball from here to the other side and then see if you can weave it through these cones. And now she has this performance goal that is measurable, but she's also chasing it. And like, yeah, she's getting better and she's feeling better, but she's also getting the exercise she needs. And so like, again, for Tracy, we set performance-based goals to get a pull-up inside of this year. And you bet your ass that when she gets a pull-up, she's going to look like she can do a pull-up too.
Yeah, that's awesome. Yeah, so setting goals. Do you do a lot of goal setting with your clients, like mini goals and add up, like you said, adding up the wins? I mean, that builds confidence in the program and what they're doing and seeing results. Do you believe in that type of goal setting for everyone?
Absolutely. Yeah, it's funny you did this. I actually just did a really big training last night on something I call real, radical, and impossible games. Perfect timing because it's the beginning of the year, so everybody's got goals to set. And first, we broke this down into real games. I was like, all right, guys, what's a real, tangible goal that you know, without a doubt, you're going to accomplish this year? And 15 of my clients would set that goal. And then it's like, awesome. Now let's make it radical. Let's make it something where you're not really sure if you're going to hit it, but it would be great if you did, and you're going to try like hell. They wrote that. And then I said, okay, we're going to extend this further. We're going to play an impossible game. I want you to extend that goal even further to the point of it sounding scary and you embarrassed to say it out loud on this camera to me right now. And so they took that real goal and they made it something insane. And then I spent the last 15 minutes reverse engineering this into monthly targets, weekly targets, and daily targets. And at the end of that, I did it for 3 people, one-on-one in front of a crowd of 15. And I was like, now, Sonia, how does this sound? Like, does it sound like you can achieve this impossible goal? And when I looked up from typing on my computer into the screen and saw Sonia's face, she was grinning from ear to ear because she realized her impossible game is actually a completely real and tangible game that she's going to accomplish with the right plan.
That's
and
awesome.
Like, she left so fired up.
Yes, that's so awesome because people need to believe in themselves. Like they have to see that when you break it down. I used to get comments like all the time where they'd be like, I'd like to lose some weight. Like, I don't need to look like you. I don't need to be a fitness model. And I'm thinking like, do you think I set out to do that? Like, I didn't even know that I was going to be like, I had a woman who I did some fitness modeling for in California. And I used to just look at her stuff. She does magazine covers, everything. And I would think, like, I would never be able to do that. Like, I thought, like, that is so, like, wild and out there. And then there I was, like, shooting for her. And I'm like, holy cow, like, how did this even happen? But if you had asked me in the beginning of my journey if that's something that I would have done, there's no way I would have been like, you're out of your mind. Like, I would never be able to, do shoots like that or whatever. So when people would say that stuff to me, I'm like, you're saying that, but you don't know what your potential is because you're already cutting yourself down. Like, well, I can never do that. Actually, you could, but I don't. It does. People. I don't think they know how to break it down. But I love what you said, like reverse engineering it. Like, what's the big goal, and then breaking down how to get there. And I think that that's phenomenal because I never would have thought I could. And now when I look back, how did I do it? Well, I know how I did it. I did it without even realizing that was where I was heading. But in my mind, it was my ultimate goal. So I was just subconsciously headed there.
You and me could talk for so long. So that brings up another mindset practice I do. Screw it, I'll bring it up. Okay. So I talk about little version of you versus big version of you. And Dana, I think that right now you're living in big version of you. So what I try to explain to everybody is right now there's two versions. There's a version of you that exists today. You know her, you are her.
Yeah.
You act the way you act, you do the things you do, you have what you have, okay? And then somewhere in the future, there is a version of you that exists that has every single thing you want, okay? And so then I'll have them map this out and say, okay, we'll just use your name. Dana, what do you have right now? That's very easy to list out. They know what they have. And then I say, what do you want as a dream come true? What is future you have? They write all that down. Then I say, okay, because of everything you have right now, how do you act? Well, I act a little bit shy. I don't take too big of chances. I'll wear loose clothes that don't really show off my body because I don't love my body. And because of that, I'll avoid pictures. Or if I do, I'll stand in the back so only my face is seen. Okay, great. We have that. We understand who you are and what you have. Now, let's look at this list that you just created. You have all of this in your life. You have the amazing body, the amazing relationship, the excellent health, the perfect energy, the dream job that you created. Yeah. Now, how are you acting? And so they write it down. They're like, well, I mean, God, I'm back in my wedding dress just because I know I can fit in it. And because of that, I have these defined arms and these nice triceps. And I stand in the front of pictures and I hold my arms out. And not only am I holding my arms out in the front of this picture, but I'm doing it with the team that I built in my business. And my husband's right by my side smiling when right now we won't even stand together because our relationship sucks. And so I go, okay, guess what? You're not acting that way because of the things you have. You have the things you have in the future because of the way you're acting. So you better start acting like that today so you can then step into the future version of yourself tomorrow.
Love that.
And then
yes,
they know how to act. And because of that, they're going to get what they want.
I love that. It's like, it's walking the walk. It's talking the talk. It's doing yes. It's like, oh, wow, that's powerful. Cause like now, like what you're describing is exactly what I did to get to where I am, to get into the position that I am today. Because I was the girl who wore the baggy clothes and didn't own a pair of shorts and wouldn't wear tank tops and all that stuff. And like now I'm like, rocking a sports bra at the gym and not even thinking twice. But I never thought that would be me. But it's, oh man, the mind and what we're able to accomplish is pretty wild once you have the tools. And obviously you're the type of coach that can teach those things. And I think that that's so powerful because people don't even know what they're capable of. And sometimes it takes somebody like you to bring it out of them. They
have no idea.
No, they have no idea. Wow, Joe, we could talk forever. I'm going to have you on again. If you've enjoyed this, I've enjoyed this. Like I'm definitely having you on again because I think, there's just so much more to unpack. I mean, you and I could really zero in on some other topics that, we could go down a whole nother path. I mean, it seems like we could talk for hours about this stuff. I've really enjoyed it. I hope, and I want to get all your clients using Devotion. So now I'm going to have to send you a bunch of my stuff. And I don't know if you've looked into my brand and the products, but they're pretty life-changing. I mean, they changed my life. So it's part of my toolbox to pay it forward,
Full transparency. Well, I want to spend like 10 minutes with you after this because I did look at your supplements and I did look just like you looked at me. I looked at what you're after and what you speak and what you believe. And that's actually something that I was interested in. So number one, yes, I'd love to be back on the show. Number two, I'd love to try the supplements. And then, I mean, you're the real deal. So I'd love to push them to my clients after and help them use something that's real, tangible, and helpful as well. So let's
absolutely.
Have that
That's my whole passion and mission. I mean, first and foremost, I like to just talk to good people. It's never about the product. I mean, look, I bring on people that don't even know my brand. I just like but my products are the extra tools in people's toolboxes to help them accomplish. And I've had a lot of coaches through the years, like I said, almost a decade now, who use my products to help their clients get the success that they know. It's like, these are just little things and you and I'll talk more, but my products were meant to help people stay devoted to their healthy lifestyle and love what they're eating and love, getting in their water and love making protein brownies and pancakes and eat with their family and still hit their goals and stay on track and all those things. And Devotion has been a huge part of my journey to to find that I can enjoy things and not that things aren't off limits, but if I want a brownie every single day, I can have one, and because I'm, I make healthier versions and all of that. So we'll talk more, but I've loved having you on. Thank you so much. You are an absolute doll, a gem. I love everything you had to say, and it's been so much fun. So thank
My
you.
pleasure.
Yeah, guys, and I'll be putting all of Joe's information in the notes of the podcast. We'll collab with him on some of our clips, and go follow this guy. You're gonna love him, and all of his content is just so much fun to watch. So thank you again, Joe, and thank you for joining in to another episode of Until It's Done, a Devoted podcast.